If you love the R, the G, and the B, well, I've got a board for you. This is the K66 keyboard from Gamakay. It's a 66% board, which is a little bit different from the 65% boards that you may be used to. The layout only has 2 keys on the top right and has a 2U right shift, so there's an additional set of stabilizers. This board was sent to me to review by Banggood for free, but that's not going to affect my review in any way. There is a link to the board with a discount code in the description if you are interested in picking this up yourself. As you saw, inside the box you've got a small instruction manual and the keyboard itself. The case is low profile and made from sheets of stacked frosted acrylic to really let the RGB shine through. The plate is technically an integrated plate since the switches mount to the top layer of acrylic. The PCB is hot swap, which means that you're able to pop off the switches without having to take the board apart and desolder them from the PCB. It's a huge time saver if you want to try out different switches. Additionally in the box, you've got a white USB-A to USB-C cable, as well as a brush, switch puller, and keycap puller. So right out of the box, the board weighs about 1 pound, 3.5 ounces, or 558 grams. In this board, I have Gateron yellow switches. These are pretty much the undisputed, buttery smooth, budget linear kings. Besides being hot swap, the PCB has per key LEDs for maximum RGB, is south facing, and supports 5-pin switches. For the keycaps, they're OEM profile and are about 1 millimeter thick. They're laser etched to let the RGB lights shine through, and some even have legends on the side. The coating looks decent, but it's a little rough to the touch, kinda like chalk. The stabilizers are plate mounted and have a tiny bit of factory lubing, but not really enough to make a difference. The stabilizer housing has some wobble, but that's pretty standard for plate mount stabs. With all that out of the way, let's see how this board sounds in its stock form. So out of the box, this board doesn't really sound that great. However, it is hot swap, so it's really easy to take out the switches and lube them, so let's do that. I'm going to be lubing these switches as well as the stabilizers with some Krytox 205G0. To remove the caps and switches, I just used the included pullers. To remove the stabilizers, there's a small clip that can be pressed in with some tweezers or a small screwdriver, and then the stabilizer can be popped off. Lubing switches is pretty simple, but a little bit time consuming. To start, I disassemble the switch with a switch opener, then I take some lube and brush it on the side rails of the bottom housing, and then do a few rounds around the center post. Next, I use what's left of the lube on the brush and brush it onto the springs, making sure to get the outside and the inside. Then I get some more lube and use it to cover the whole surface of the switch stem. Once that's done, I put the switch back together and rinse and repeat for the rest of the switches. Now for the stabilizers, I disassemble them first by twisting the housings so they unsnap, and then I wipe away any lube that's on the wires. Then I'm going to lube the inside of both housings with a generous amount of lube. With both housings lubed, I'm going to lube the stabilizer stems the same way I lube the switch stems. When putting the stem back in the housing, make sure the side with 2 holes matches up with the side the wire goes into. Once both housings and stems are lubed, I take the wire and dip it in some dielectric grease and put it back into the housings. Then I put it back together and do the same for all of the other stabilizers. Then I put it back together and do the same thing for all of the other stabilizers. After lubing the switches and stabilizers, let's throw everything back on the board and see how it sounds. I'd say there's a significant sound difference in the board after some lubing. These stabilizers are a lot better, but they're not perfect. I could have band-aid modded them, but you'd be able to see the fabric since it's a low profile board and I didn't really want to sacrifice the aesthetic. Because this is a hot swap board, it really gives you a lot of customizability in choosing your own switches. You can choose to lube the existing switches like I did, or you can opt for some more premium switches and use those. One of the only drawbacks about this board, in my opinion, is its layout. I would have really preferred if they didn't have the 2U right shift since it makes the arrow keys slightly misaligned, and it's hard to find replacement keycap sets that would fit this layout. So if you don't mind the layout and you like showing off your RGB and are looking for a budget board that also has hot swap support, consider checking out the K66. If you'd like to get one for yourself, there's a link in the description with a coupon code if you get it from the Banggood site. Anyways, I hope you liked my review of this board. Please consider subscribing to see more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next video.